Good morning, all. So this is going to be a relatively long video, I think. I'm going to be doing the Big Country Football League off-season 1952, starting with the worst team in the league, Springfield. I'm transitioning to the Time Sports Complete version of football. And a couple of days ago, why am I making this transition? A couple of days ago, I made a brand new Time Sports d66 football solely to go with the Time Sports version of football. So this has its own rules for full football play, but it also uses my cap rules, which are found in another book. But it has special rules just for Time Sports Football Complete. So we will be going through this process, the off-season team grade paradigm process based on cap, player cap. And here's a sample team, what a sample team looks like. So what makes Time Sports Football Complete different as far as the football version? It has a comeback chart with a comeback grade. So you have your matchup, your universal matchup. So in this book, it has universal matchups. Team creation is simple in this chart. It has its off-season. So this off-season process involves this chart. And the paradigm follows this chart. So your team can change 2 or 3 times in one off-season. So this ought to be fun. All right, so to get a look-see, let's go up here. There's my paradigm, right? This, by the way, this paperback is available for those who are curious. I just made one for me. I published it for those who want to buy it. It is not a free PDF. Neither one of these now are available in any way. Well, actually, I think this book now is for sale again for those who are curious about this version of the games, the faster play version of the games. And I made this particular book for me, for my own play style on my tabletop to support my football time leagues with the d66 full engine. So this is a special version of the game that's never been published. And as of this morning or yesterday, I actually published this for those who want to own it. Because it's for me, I'm not really giving it away, but I will, since I made the book for me. I thought I would go ahead and share the book if people want to buy it. But anyway, long story short, it's not something that I'm claiming people should purchase. So, okay, so our paradigm: the Springfield Eagles played poorly. They have a owner here in William Bell. So the first thing we do is we decide on the paradigm, is the owner change? So no owner change, right? So owner is still Bill Bell. Okay, the GM. The GM is Steve Ray. He's in his peak. Does he change? No, he does not. Oh, wait, he does. He changes to veteran. So Steve Ray becomes a veteran, and that's a change. I need to note that. And you'll see why that's important, because when there is a GM change or an owner change, so right here it says if the owner changes or the GM makes a cap change, and he did, then we have to change the head coach and re-roll all 3 team ratings. So that means they fired their head coach. Their head coach was Saunders, and I'll be honest, they should have fired Saunders. He went 1-6, and we'll get a new head coach in there, Jeb Franklin, and he will be a rookie, right? So we have a brand new head coach in Jeb Franklin, which means we have to re-roll all 3 team grades. So we got offense, defense, comeback. Holy cow, what a first big change. So a team that went 1-5 may see some big changes here. All right. So their offense, their current offense. So this is where we go to Time Sports. Their current offense this year was a C. Boy, they were a good team, CB, but they went 1-6. Damn. Okay, so their offense is a C. So we have to re-roll because they fired their coach, and then we're going to make a note here. The result of this was fired head coach Saunders, hired Franklin. So these are just notes before I put them in my own index cards. All right, so we got to roll C. And it's a 2. The B, wow, so they go up. Now here's the kicker. This can change 2 or 3 times during this offseason, so don't get excited. Holy cow, Springfield jumps to a B. But this may end up who knows where by the time everything's said and done. Defense was already a B. How did this team get 1-6? I don't know. 2 on the B chart. So we come to them, we look at their current grade, B. 2, but their defense was a lie. And their comeback grade was a C, 5, F. Oh my gosh. So there they have. These are all changes because Steve Ray went from a peak GM to a veteran GM. Whether it was a good idea or not, he fired head coach Saunders and hired Jeb Franklin, who is a rookie. So we do not count this as a coach change. That's already been done. But because the head coach leaves, based on the GM, that means the entire coaching staff and everything is shaken up. Okay, so let's go back to our paradigm. So we did the first 2. Owner, no ownership change. Cap change for the GM, which has affected the head coach, which we're done with. So now head coach says if the head coach retires or is fired, then we re-roll just the offense and the defense. Well, we're not going to re-roll. We already did that. So technically, Jeb Franklin is done. We don't have to do the second paradigm. Okay, if the quarterback makes a cap. Okay, so now we move on. So we've concluded our what's called management. Now we're going on to our offense, right? This is our offense. Our quarterback does his cap change. He's a veteran. So if I roll a 1, he retires. Nope. So nothing changes for Olstead. He's still a veteran, so he's not going anywhere. Running back is Pip. He's a veteran. On a roll of 1, he retires. Nope. So Pip, these guys are all coming back for more punishment after a 1-6 season. Fullback Smith, he is a rookie. He automatically goes to peak. So that's an actual change, so we need to highlight that. Okay, and then we have our X-receiver. Price. Price is a veteran. Does he retire? He does not. So these guys all want to come back and recover some pride. Gabriel is a veteran. Does he retire? No. These guys are kind of taking money from this owner, Bell. However, there's a new sheriff in town here with Jeb Franklin. He might get something from these guys. Winters is also a veteran. Does he retire? He does not. So they're all coming back. So that wraps up my offense. So then we got over to check. Did my quarterback make a cap change? He did not. Did my quarterback and place kicker make a cap change? Well, this we can ignore because the quarterback didn't. If both of them do, we have to change offense. But quarterback did not. Our place kicker may, but right now the place kicker and quarterback have to both change. So we already know the quarterback didn't, so we can ignore this one. If the punter return, okay, we haven't gotten to the punt. We haven't got to punter return man. Did 3 or more offensive starters make a cap change? No, only 1 did. So we don't have to re-roll offense. So they're going to stay a B. And if 2 or more defense, we haven't gotten to defense yet. So now we will do special teams. Punter. He's a veteran, Boone, and he's not changing. Boone stays on board as a veteran. Return man is Evans. He is a veteran. Does he retire? No. Okay, and our place kicker is Clark, who's had a long career. He is peak. Does he change? He does. He actually goes to veteran, and that's a change. So our place kicker changed. So we come back up. Punter, return man, Okay, so place kicker, we don't have to worry about it. But the place kicker rating for them is F, and I'll show you how that's changed. So in the game now, in this version of the game, where is it at? My place kickers are comeback rating. So he is technically an F. Our punter is technically our defense, D. And our return man is our offense, B, for the kick and punt return charts. That's why we need these. So Clark is an F now, though. Oh, it's going to be tough for them kicking field goals, extra points. So a team that was bad improved their offense, but unfortunately saw defense drop. So what they want to have happen, and again, defense, we only account for the captains, right? So we have a DL, we have a linebacker, and we have a DB, and we only care about the captains. So defense is McGregor. He's a rookie, so he'll automatically change. He becomes Peak, and I'll make a note that he changed. The linebacker is Peak Vernon. Does he age? He does not. Vernon does not change. He stays Peak for what it was worth. Now that we know that that B defense is actually a D. And their DB is Peak Olson. Does he age? He does. That's actually going to help them because they get the reroll defense. So let's go down here to the paradigm. If two or more defensive captains make changes, we reroll defense. So that's a good sign right there. So we go back to our Time Sports book. We want to roll, well, they're a current D, so we'd like to roll a 1 or a 3. 1, and you always use the current grade, 1 or 3. 6, they're a D. Well, they didn't get worse anyway. So that's that, and I make a note here, right? That means those guys changed. I believe we have finished Springfield. So first off, there was no ownership change. Springfield Eagles, 1952. Steve Ray went from a peak GM to a veteran, and that forced him to pull the trigger and fire Sanders. He hires Franklin. Jeb Franklin comes in as a rookie. Because of the head coach firing, if we had just fired him and Steve Ray didn't change, if you were a human owner and you said, I want to fire this jackass, then you can re-roll offense and defense. But because the GM did it, we have to re-roll the entire team's makeup, which also correlate to your 3 special teams players too. So Olstead didn't change, Pip didn't change, Smith went from rookie to peak, and our receivers have not changed. Down here, Clark went from peak to veteran, and unfortunately is an F. So their place kicker definitely not going to be good this year. They had McGregor age from rookie to peak automatically, and then Olsen went from peak to veteran on a roll. And because 2 defensive players changed, we got a reroll of the we have to do a reroll of the defense. Nothing occurred, and there it is. Springfield Eagles this year will be a BDF, and they were 1-6 last year. I'm afraid that's probably not going to improve. I don't think I'll do the whole. I only have 6 teams, but I don't think I'll do all of them. I'm going to go ahead and do another team so people can, again, follow what I'm doing here. Okay, this will be Central City. Central City Aces. By the way, this was the Springfield. Oh, yeah, I already did that. Eagles. Central City Aces, 1952, off-season. Their owner. Oof. Their owner is Atkins the third. I can't remember the first name. Jay Atkins. Okay, and he, of course, won't change. The GM is Atkins. He's in his peak. This might actually be his brother. I can't remember if they're brothers. Jay Atkins is peak. So let's make a roll. Does Jay Atkins change? No. So, head coach. Do we fire this head coach, Thompson? No, Central City was competitive. We're going to keep Thompson. But does he change from peak to veteran? He does. So we're going to have to re-roll. Okay, so this is, again, this is a big deal because it's going to force an automatic re-roll of offense and defense. Their comeback was already a D. Okay, so their offense, now we have to re-roll. So their offense was a C, so let's go to Time Sports. There was C. Because of this change, we have to do offense and defense. 2. B, holy cow, good for him. So they were a C, they're now a B. Their defense was a B. We have to roll on the B chart. And 3, 1, 2, A. Oh no, what a deal. This is why you don't want to fire a coach too quick. So as he goes from his peak into a veteran situation, he's wised up a little bit and he's improved both the offense and defense, probably by scheme. Maybe he's updated his playbook, but their comeback grade is not yet effective. Okay, so that means we got to do offense. Quarterback. Their quarterback is Sullivan. He's peak, and he does not change. So Sullivan, who had a rough year. All the quarterbacks this last year had a pretty rough year, to be honest. Jones is a veteran, and he does not retire. Jones. He is a veteran, doesn't change. Fullback is Bowens. He's in peak. He does not change. So Bowens stays in his peak performance for what that's worth. Their ex-receiver. Black is a veteran, and he stays on board. Black likes the changes that the coach has made to the playbook. Goldstein. Oh, he is a veteran, and he is not retiring. That was close. Gold. He's staying on board. He almost hung it up, and then he saw the new playbook from coach and said, I'm staying on. Wells does not retire. So we're not going to see any re-roll of the offense right now. So not one offensive starter changed. That's good. Now we got our special teams. Punter, return man, place kicker. All right, the punter is Bowles, and he does not change. He stays a veteran. Return man, Ward is in his peak. No, excuse me, Black, veteran. Oh, we already know he did not go because he's the ex-receiver. And the place kicker, though, Ward in his peak. Oh, he actually ages to veteran, and that's his change. All right, so what does that mean, right? We come up here. So did our, in the off-season paradigm, did the owner of the GM change? Where are they at? Central City. No. Head coach, did he change? He did. We had to re-roll offense and defense, and that turned out to be great for Central City. Okay. Did the quarterback change? The quarterback did not change, so we don't have a comeback re-roll, so their comeback's going to stay at D. Did the QB and the place kicker change? No, the place kicker changed, but not the quarterback, so we don't re-roll offense. And because comeback hasn't changed, he changed, but not both. So the comeback grade stays the same. Remember, you don't change the comeback grade unless they both change, which, by the way, we shouldn't have changed this one. They were a C. So I take that back because they both have to change. They both have to change before the comeback grade changes. Your quarterback and your place kicker have to change before you change your comeback, right? So we do not change that either, right? Okay, so I made that mistake. The punter and the return man, did they change? They did not, so defense stays the same. Over here, did punter or return man change? No, so they stayed the same. By the way, our punter is defense grade A, and Black is our kick returner, is his offense grade of B. And Ward, the comeback grade, did not change because the quarterback did not change. Did 3 or more offensive starters change? No. So we don't change offense. Did 2 or more defensive cat? We haven't done it yet. So now defense. DL. The DL here is Wilkie. He's in his prime. He stays in his prime. Wilkie. Or I should say peak. The linebacker here, Lorch, is a veteran, and he stays. Okay. And DB. DB is peak Nye, and he changes. Nye changes to a veteran. So That's a change. But do 2 or more captains change? If it do, we re-roll. No. Wow. So Central City now is the team to beat coming up so far in 1952. And that wraps up a second team. So we have wrapped up Springfield Eagles, who actually I would argue probably got worse because that defense was a B. They were a CB, now they're a BD. Yeah, I would argue they got worse. Their comeback rate didn't change. No doubt Central City, as Thompson aged as a veteran now, he's starting to put his veteran wiles to good use. His next move will be to retire. He can't change again. He can only retire. But BA tells me they're going to have a good season upcoming, and they didn't lose any offensive starters. That might be another reason. And Nye improved I should say, the defense improved as Nye aged into a veteran. And wow, Central City looks pretty good. Unionville. I'm doing these, by the way, in what would be their draft order. The Unionville Toughs. Again, both these are available in paperback. The Time Sports Complete book and the brand new Time Sports Football, d66. Again, they're all compatible with all versions of Football Time, Big Country Football Time, etc. This particular version is for me. When I sit down to play this league, I guess you could argue this is now my league rules and my league book. It'll use special football charts to simulate all games fully. Plus, I'll use this version for the Fast Sim games. But it is this new off-season paradigm that I'm using that is so really in a way you can get this league book if you're so inclined on Lulu. It's just called I don't even remember what it's called. Time Sports Complete d66 Football, I think. Anyway, it's there for those who would like to own it. But again, it's not something that I'm necessarily touting. Okay, owner. The owner does not change here. The owner is Brandeis Steel. So Brandeis is the owner. That is a steel company owned by John Brandeis. GM is Benson. Benson is in his peak. And he does not change. So no GM change here. Head coach. Head coach is Tucci in his peak. And Tucci won a championship as my quarterback for Paradise City. And Tucci does not change. He is in his peak. So they're sound. So there'll be no changes here, right? Offense. Their current offense is C. Their current defense, C. And their comeback is B. Okay, so right now there's not been a change. Here we go, offense. So it might seem like it would take you a long time, but it's pretty easy because you're just making simple roll to see if guys change. Hill will go to veteran. So Hill moves on from peak to veteran, and there's our first change. That's going to, right now, we can do this right this exact minute. If the quarterback makes a cap change, then reroll comeback rating. So we got a reroll comeback rating. Their comeback rating is a B. So how does his aging change them? To D. Ooh, lordy, big change for them. So he gets too old. So his knees are shot and their comeback rating drops. That is too cool. Running back. Everett is in his peak and Everett does not change. Peak. Fullback is Jackson. Jackson is a veteran. Boy, we don't have a lot of rookies in the league right now. He's a veteran. Does he hang it up? He does not. I love it. X receiver Swanson. He's a rookie. Uh-oh. He becomes peak. That's a change. Y, we have a veteran McDonald tight end, and he does not change. Close, though. McDonald stays. He does not retire. And our Z receiver is a peak, Lord. And I dropped the die on the floor. And now I can't find it. There it is. Does Lord change? Oh, Lord retired. No, Peak. He goes to veteran. Becomes a veteran. And folks, that's 3 changes. If you have 3 offensive players change, let's go back to our paradigm right here. If 3 or more offensive starters change, we have to reroll the offense. That's not a bad thing. So Hill ages, Swanson goes from a rookie to Peak, and Lord actually. So we got a couple of, let's be 1E. We got a couple of veterans here on offense, and that means this is going to change. So we roll the C column, 1D. Oh, and they've aged. They've aged for the worst, folks. Dang. All right, special teams. Punter, return man, place kicker. All right, their punter is Turner. He's a veteran. He's not going anywhere. Oops. Their return man is Peak, Sampson, and he's staying Peak, which means he can return kicks for touchdown in these roles. And the place kicker is Olga, and Olga's not changing. Olga says, man, I can do this until I'm 60 years old. So no special teams changes. Also, because the place kicker and quarterback did not change, we don't reroll offense. But if Hill changed, and if Olga had changed, which would mean a rookie, we'd have a new rookie kicker, we would have to come up here and change our offense, right? Because the place kicker and the quarterback would greatly affect our offensive point production. See, so that's how that works. Fortunately, no other changes. However, I wouldn't mind re-rolling this offense at D. But there's no way to save that offense this year. They're done. So now we got our DL, our linebacker, and our DB. Okay, our DL is in his peak, Weathers, and Weathers does not change. So he stays on board in his peak. We have a veteran Townsend at linebacker, retires. Oh, so we're going to bring in a guy named Dawson, rookie. That's a change. And if there's one more change here, our peak, Martin, and no change. So Martin stays at peak. All right, so let's look at the paradigm. If 2 or more defensive captains change, we have to re-roll the defense. Nope. So we're done, folks. Everybody stays. Remember, our punter is the same as our defense. Our return man is the same as our offense, and Olga is the same as our comeback. This is not a very good football team. The Unionville Toughs had a good year as far as their standards, but Unionville has just seen their veterans age them into a worse offense. They maintain their defense, and that's interesting because they did draft a rookie linebacker, and he became the captain. And their comeback, unfortunately, not too hot, right? But there we go. We've already got 3 teams done. So this is going faster than I thought. So maybe I can finish the whole off season here. That would be cool. The Grand Bay Grays. I thought this team had a shot at the title this year, but nope, they could not get past Middletown. Their owner is McAllister family. And again, no change there. We don't have to worry about that. Their GM is Alatorre. And for those who follow the Big Country write-up, Alatorre has known connections to organized crime, or has been accused of it. Peak. Does he age to a veteran? No, he's still in his peak, baby. Okay, so there will be no... Oh, and our head coach. Our head coach is Jones. He's a veteran. Does he retire? Oh, damn it. I don't know why I can't keep this on the table. He does not. So Jones does not leave. All right, so let's go do our offense. Right now, our offense maintains that C. Our defense maintains the C. And the comeback is an A. See, in the last year, I wasn't able to use the comeback ratings because I wasn't using Time Sports Complete. So this year will be kind of fun to see the comeback ratings affect play when I fast sim. Okay, so that's where they're currently at. We haven't seen any other changes. Okay, so offense. Quarterback is Grantham, the old vet. Does he call it up? He does not. Grantham is going to hang in there for another season. Nice. Their running back is Time. Oh, man. Unbelievable. I have dropped this thing on the floor 7 times already. All right. He's not changing either. Time. He's in his peak. Their fullback is Cable. He is in his peak. Okay, our ex-receiver is Roberson, and he's in his peak. Wow. So no offensive players yet. The tight end, Bonner. No, the tight end is Wilkerson, and he does not retire. And last but not least on the offense is James in his peak. Does he age? He does not. Wow, all of these guys stayed the same. So not one change on offense. So that means we won't be seeing an offensive change. Special teams, our punter, our return man, and our place kicker. Okay, our punter is Bonner, Pete, and he does not change. Man, these guys are all determined to hang around and get a shot at a title maybe. Return man, Washington is a veteran. He does not go anywhere. Man, we have not seen a single cap change for these guys. And Norton, their peak. Ah, there it is. Norton's going to go into a veteran from peak to veteran. But again, it has to be both QB and place kicker have to both change for there to be an offensive change. So no change there. So again, we know that Bonner is a C for defense. We know that Washington is a C for offense. And we know that Norton retains that A place kicking grade. And this matters when we're punting, returning kicks or punts, and it matters when we're kicking field goals. So although these grades are going to be matched up against the other team's return man for etc., A has its own chart. Defense is used. So in this particular new book, raw offense and raw defense are used for stuff like interception returns, fumble recoveries, sacks. So the raw grades are actually used in what are called event charts, which is really cool. The game grades are still matchups. So my offense versus their defense gives me a game grade. That's my offensive charts for the game. So it's very cool. Comeback is used ultimately as your place kicking. And then comeback's used in the normal time sports fast sim charts. Okay. So we have finished. Now we got to do the defense. So their defense could stand to improve. Their defensive captains, DL, LB, and DB. Their DL is Rowe. He is a veteran, and he retires. So we're going to get a new guy in here. Let's say Hollings. So rookie, and that's going to be a new. So we saw Rowe retire. We got Wells, who's peak. And Wells is fine. He's going to stay at peak. One more change, and their defense will get a reroll. Surtees is a veteran. Will he retire? He does not. Surtees is going to hang in there. And he stays on as a vet, which means we don't get to see a defensive change. And that's it, right? This team's done, ready to rock and roll. We got 2 more teams left. Very good. They keep that fat comeback grade. That's pretty cool. All right, Coldell Miners. They went 7-2 on the season, lost a championship game for the 2nd year in a row. The Coldell Miners of 1952. Can they stay in their championship for? And again, this is Georgievich is our owner. He's not going to change. Georgievich, he's not going to change. The GM is Georgievich, but he's a veteran. He could retire, stay at the ownership, and retire as GM and name a new young GM. What will he do? Nope. Georgievich wants to win a title before he goes up top. He stays a veteran here. Their head coach did a good job. Their head coach is Georgievich. Will he retire from the head coach position? Oh, he does not, but boy, that was close, Djordjevic. So he could have stayed on as owner GM and retired from here, but he's decided back-to-back championship appearances without a ring. He wants another shot. No change so far. Offense. Their current offense, they went 7-2, folks. And here are their grades. You wouldn't believe it. So they went 7-2 CCC. Of course, the comeback grade I wasn't using with the other game versions. I don't have a comeback chart. Wow. So nothing's changed here yet. Okay, here we go. Offense. Quarterback. Bellows in his peak. And he ages. So Bellows quickly moves from his peak. Bellows was a rookie just 2 years ago. So Bellows is aging quickly. But he could stay around for 20 years as a veteran. Plum is a veteran of 1, and he retires. Nope, a 6. So he led the league in rushing, by the way. Why would you retire when you're the league's top runner back? Greg had a good year as fullback, peak, and he's not going to change. So Greg is still peak. Ex-receiver is Porter. He's a veteran. He does not retire. But again, close. The wide receiver, Brody, had a fantastic year. He's in his peak, and he stays in his peak. So I don't think they're going to re-roll offense. Can you believe it? Z, Wellington is a veteran, and he does not leave. Veteran. Look at that. We've had one change. So remember, the quarterback did change, so we got over here. We had no ownership, GM, or coaching change. If the quarterback makes a cap change, we re-roll the comeback rating. Okay, so let's go back. Their comeback is C. We want to roll a 2 or 3. 1, D. Oh, sad. So as he ages, Bellows loses a step and affects their ability to make those 2-minute drives, maybe scramble for first downs. All those little things a quarterback might do with his youth have slipped away. Okay, but that's it. Special teams. We have our punter, our return man, and our place kicker. All right, our punter for this team is Banks, and he ages. Banks becomes a veteran. Wow, and now what does this say? If the punter and the return man change, we get to re-roll defense. So they kind of want the return man to change. Their return man is Benson. He's in his peak. So a 1 or a 2, and Benson will age into a veteran. Nope. So he's going to remain in his peak. And that's good, though, because a peak return man can return touchdowns. You have to be in your peak to return touchdowns in this rule book. Our place kicker is Belgrade, who had a pretty good year. Oh, peak. He goes to veteran. Belgrade. Wait a second, though. I think that means, yes, we had both our plate. Finally, if our quarterback and our place kicker change, we have to re-roll offense. That's a good sign. We have a chance. So we want a 2 or a 3 to improve. Come on. Don't drop it. 2, baby. They go up. Son of a gun. How about that? So Bellows aged, which affected their comeback rating, but Belgrade and Bellows both got wiser, and their offense will be improved. That is so sweet. And Banks, let's go back here to the punter. If the punter and the return man change, nope. So we don't have to worry about that. Did 3 or more offensive players change? Nope. Did 2 or more defensive? Okay, we haven't got to defense. I always do that. Okay, so here we go. Let's do our defensive captains. People wonder why I dig this. I'm a big fan of seeing teams change, career mode games. So this is part of why I play. I want to see the competition, but then I love to watch the teams, the narrative of the leagues and of the players, etc., as these teams change. Oh, Kleinhaus goes from a rookie. He was a star, folks. Kleinhaus is now peak, but that is a change. Kleinhaus led the league in sacks, folks, and won Defensive Lineman of the Year. Linebacker is Farmer. Farmer, for those who don't know, had a phenomenal, he's in his peak. Let's roll to see if he ages. Nope, he's still peak. And their DB is Fairbanks. Fairbanks, not such a big year for Fairbanks. He is in his peak. Does he change? He does. He becomes a veteran. And folks, there it is. If two or more defensive players change, we have to re-roll defense. Their defense, they could improve, folks. They need a 2 or a 3, and they would become a B in both. 2 or a 3. 3, oh my God. They were 7-2, lost the second Euro. So look at this. Djordjevic stays on board, and they improve to BB. Their comeback, still a D. Wow, that is incredible. So this team was already, had played way above their heads at CCC. They end up improving on offense and defense, but their comeback drops as Bellows loses a step. That's a trip. Kleinhaus, who was the defensive, by the way, he was the defensive lineman award in 51. Farmer was the defensive player of the year in 51. So they got 2 award winners. Pretty cool. Okay, last but not least is the Middletown Stokers, who finally, after 3 tries, in their 3rd try, finally won the championship. So Middletown. Okay, here we go. Their owner, will he change? Carlisle? No. Our Carcel? Carcel will not change. GM is also Carcel. He's a veteran GM. He did not retire from the job, so he's going to continue to do this. And the head coach, they won the championship. Jameson, he aged? Nope, Jameson stays in his peak. How about that? Offense. Their offense was a B. Their defense was an A. You can see why they were champs. Their comeback was a B. So you can see why they won the championship. B, A, B. Okay. Offense. Quarterback. Does Ragsdale go from peak to veteran? Yes. Oh, wow. Ragsdale now is a wily vet, but that's going to affect their comeback grade. Okay, if the quarterback makes a cap change, re-roll comeback. So the comeback's B. He could improve. They want a 3. Oh, ho, 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 ho. And Ragsdale, as he ages into a veteran, knows exactly how to run that 2-minute offense. Damn, that is going to be so much fun to see. Hess, the veteran, does he retire? He does not. So Hess is staying on. He was the league's 2nd leading. Oh, by the way, who was I can't remember who the quarterback of the year was. Oh, Grantham. Where's Grantham? Yeah, he was the QB of the year, right, for 51. Our DB of the year was, what's his name? Wait, DB of the year was here, maybe? No. Huh. Where is our DB of the year? Our receiver of the year was Mike. He's on this team. Where's our DB of the year? Surtees. Defensive back of the year for 51. Right. Okay. And our running back of the year was right here, Plum. He was the running back of the year, 51. There we go. And then our receiver of the year was Mike. Okay, fullback. Sorry about that. I want to catch that up. Tucker. Tucker's in his peak. He is now a veteran. So Tucker also ages. This is going to affect one more offensive change, and we have to re-roll that. You would hate to have to do that. This team is looking like they're going to repeat as champions right now, so you hate to re-roll that. Mike, who's in his peak, and he stays in his peak. And he is peak, and baby, he was the receiver of the year for 51. Man. Our tight end for this club is Ross. And Ross hangs in there. He's going to hang around. He's a veteran. He's not hanging him up. And last but not least, if there's one more change, this is King Smith at his peak. Then we're going to have to re-roll that offense. Yo, man, King Smith, you just screwed the team. He went from peak to veteran. And that's our third offensive change. So we got to come over and say, if 3 or more, we have to re-roll that offense. Dang it, they're going to blow it. Well, maybe I can roll a 3. If I can roll a 3 or a 5, they'll retain 1. Oh, my God, they fell off big time. Oh, that's a killer. King Smith, you just screwed this team maybe out of winning back-to-back championships. I like being able to point to the loser who screws the team. Dang it, King Smith got old fast. What are they going to do? There's nothing they can do. So King Smith aged and lost a step. Shite. They held everything intact. Ragsdale even aged. And that gave him a better comeback rating. Unfortunately, King Smith, though, lost a step, and it's really affected their offense. All right, their punter is Foreman, and he is staying a peak player. And by the way, that is their defensive grade, A. Remember, this changes. So if the defense changes before I finish, this has to change. They're always the same as the defense. The return man is West. He's a veteran, and he retires. Wow. So we're going to get a new kick returner. Let's go Gable. He's a rookie. And that's another change. And place kicker is Ulsa, veteran, but he's not going anywhere. Ulsa. Okay, so return man, what does that do? Well, it would have to be punter and return man to reroll defense. So fortunately for them, return man is offense. Ooh, he got worse though. Ulsa's uses comeback, so they're good. All right, defense. We will have done the entire offseason for my 1952 Big Country Football League. Defensive lineman, linebacker, and DB. All right, DL. This is Reese, the veteran. He's staying on. Reese. No change. Okay, Candolini. He's in his prime. He's going to stay in his prime. Candolini. And that means there'll be no change to this team's defense either. Erickson in his prime stays in his prime. And folks, that's it. So let's go over this. We can wrap this up. File, save as, off season, put it on the desktop. Boom. Okay, so let's take a look at these teams. We have wrapped up the off season. Big changes. Springfield actually saw GM age, therefore he fired their coach, which I would have done anyway. He was 1-6. Franklin, they improved their offense. Unfortunately, their defense gets worse. Their comeback stays the same. Smith aged into his prime, and Clark aged into a veteran. We have to make sure these numbers are all the same. BDD, yep, okay. McGregor aged into his prime, and Olsen aged into a veteran, which affected that defense, and that's how the defense ended up dropping. All right, Central City Aces. This team has a chance to win the championship. Thompson matures into a veteran coach, and that really impacted positively the offense and the defense. Nobody made any changes, and that, again, secured that offensive grade as this team came back ready for a run at the title. The special teams did see Ward change, but again, that doesn't affect comeback because the quarterback didn't change. Doesn't affect because the quarterback has to change to affect comeback. So Ward technically aged, but it doesn't affect his grade, right? His grade is based on the comeback grade. All right, and then on defense, we saw Nye age, but it wasn't enough to change this defense. And right now, folks, I think Central City is the team to beat with a BA. All right, the Unionville Tufts owner, Brandeis Steele, Benson did not change. Tucci in his prime, so they stayed together. However, because Hill, Swanson, and Lord changed, Hill, we saw the comeback grade change because of this. We saw because all three changed, we saw the offense drop. and the defense did not change, and the special teams did not change. So Unionville got worse because the offense aged. If you can see how that works. All right, the Grand Bay Grays, this team was really good. I thought they were going to end up in the championship. They just couldn't get past Middletown. This team, though, improved. Well, actually, they stayed the same almost across the board as they were already, I think. Let's double check. Grantham, who won the Quarterback of the Year award, nobody changed. So that's why the offense hasn't changed. Over here, Norton, again, would change, except comeback is based on quarterback changes. So Norton gets to stay the same. And on defense, they had just one guy retire. Hollings comes in as a rookie. That isn't enough to re-roll defense. So I still think Grand Bay is going to be competitive with CCA. That's kind of a big deal. Okay. Coaldale Miners, this team was 7-1, lost the championship, ended up 7-2. They were in the championship in both 50 and 51. Maybe they can get back in 52. Georgievics, obviously owner, he's going to stay the veteran leader on this team and coach. And boy, sound improvements all around. Bellows aged, which affected a comeback that dropped a bit. However, they retained Plum, the running back of the year, led the league in rushing, and maintained that B offense. On special teams, they had 2 players change. Of course, Bellows and Belgrade changed, which drastically affected their offense. They ended up improving there. And then again, our return man retains his position. 2 defensive guys age. One ages into his peak automatically from rookie to peak, and Fairbanks ages into a veteran, and this forced a change on defense. And again, this team should be battling for the league title with a BB. Last but not least, the league champions. Carcel is the owner. He's also the GM. He stays. Jameson stays. This team suffers a offensive change because 3 of their players go from peak to veteran. That cost them big time as they went from a B to a D. The defense does not age or change, so they retain their A grade. And again, the comeback grade had to be re-rolled because of Ragsdale, and he aged into a smarter 4-minute quarterback, but unfortunately aged where their offense is hurting a little bit. Kingsmith technically drew that down. I would see as Ragsdale aged and this improved. I'm blaming Kingsmith for this D. I mean, because if I didn't roll that, if he had stayed in his peak, we would not have re-rolled that, and they would have been BAA. Either way, we got the final 3 teams are the teams to beat, as again, the draft and the offseason don't always positively give bad teams the big boost. Let's save this one more time. I'll have to get these guys written out on index cards, and I'll be ready once and for the schedule, I do a flip and reverse. So the schedule that I used for 52, we just flip it and we reverse it, and I just keep playing these teams until I add teams or whatever. All right, so what happened in the last few days? I was reminded of this great version of the Time Sports Complete games when I had a friend ask me a question about boxing, if I had had a single roll game, and of course I didn't, but it made me look this up to remember how that did work because it's much faster than any of the others. That led me to want to use this for the next season of my BCFL league. But then in looking at it, because I'm using cap and rosters, I then decided I wanted to mix up brand new cap rules for why you would re-roll these grades. So that led me to then, so basically all of this from page 8 to 11 is all brand new from caps in the D6 Time Sports D66 Football Simulator book. So you can see these cap rules. But this portion of the game from 8 to 10 are brand new rules just for this league, which obviously you could use in any league, and that affects this paradigm, off-season paradigm for how teams can change, which makes off-season fun as we see, again, just something like that receiver aging ended up being the last change that negatively affected the offense. So you can see that they need to draft a rookie, they need to draft a new receiver next year, right? or fire coaches, whatever. So there we have it. That's new. But what's also new about why did I do a new Time Sports D66 football to go with this version? The comeback grade, of course. But in playing my D66 game, which is free, for those who don't know, you can get you can play this with Parallax Football too, but there is an advanced D66 football. This book right here. This is the one that's dedicated to Jeff Downey. I finished this the day I heard he had passed. So this is free. You can grab this version. This can work with any version of Time Football. Football Time, Big Country Football Time version 3, whatever. And this is the full, this just narrows the charts to A, B, and C, right, for offense. And it has dynamic kickoffs, dynamic kick return, dynamic punts, dynamic punt returns, and dynamic field goals. And, of course, offense, the 3 offensive charts. And then it has dynamic turnover returns. Okay. But this book was also designed so you could play Canadian, indoor football, high school football, college football, and American pro football. So there's rules in here to cover any version. So this is the one I sell because it's the most useful. And you can see the cap rules are in this as they are in this version right here, the cap rules. So the cap rules are the same in both versions. And then, of course, this has the advanced team creation, which is a way for you to create teams or use your AppOg or rated teams if for some reason, again, like I said, you wanted to. And it has the quick possession results based on A, B, and C charts, which is what this book does. It reduces everything to simple A, B, and C. And then the advanced sports time instant scores, A, B, and C, with modifiers based on the quality of football you're playing to add to your points. Okay, so that book, this is available free. Again, the reason I created this first and touted this first and wanted to make this available both free and in paperback was it gives people the chance to use this as a standalone game, but also use it with any version of Football Time, Big Country Football Time. And I wanted to give people something that had dynamic special teams because I know how important that is to most people. They want to see dynamic play. With automated solitaire charts, so you don't have to worry about calling offense and defense, and it also targets players, so you don't have to worry about who's getting the ball. And then, of course, it's a standalone game now. So this is technically a standalone game, so you can make your own teams, right? You don't have to use this with any of the Football Time teams, but there you have it. So that's that. So what's confusing about this? Nothing. I made my own version of a D66 football simulator. And the reason for that is I want to use the A through F matchups, which are identical to the Time Sports Complete matchup chart right here. So this particular version uses the exact same matchup chart as Time Sports Complete. Also, I want, as I've said this before, I've talked about this in videos in the past, I prefer static special teams. There's a couple of reasons. One, it's faster. I just literally can move the ball out, make one roll for a fumble or a kick return or something. I don't want to mess around with rolling dice for punts and kicks, etc. So I want to use static. So the reason I'm not touting this version is this is very much custom to how I want to play my tabletop full sims. So I have static special teams, static punt net, field goals using the D6. And then I have, of course, the offensive production charts. Still just 3 charts, but we have the A chart by itself. We have the B and C chart together. And then we have the D and F chart for offenses that fall into D and F. This is for every snap. And you'll notice there's a big change. We now no longer have just interception or turnover. We have an event. And we have long gain. So we have event, long gain. And that's going to force you to then check an event chart or a long gain chart. The event chart is static, using raw offense and raw defense for a static result. And then we have a long gain chart, which is also static. The raw offense versus the raw defense gives us a long gain. So we don't roll for events. We don't roll for static. We don't roll for events or long gain. We have static ratings. So what does that mean? That means these grades are that much more important right here. These grades now become huge because they're static. So that offense B versus its own defense would be in an incomplete pass on an event as opposed to a sack or an interception or something, right? So if it's a turnover, then we make a roll to see if it's a fumble or an interception, right? Okay, same with long gain. These numbers now are really a big deal because they're going to directly control how well an offense has breakaways. But the defense they're facing, so let's say this offense gets a long gets a long gain against this defense. So their raw score, A versus D, a 65-yard gain. The roll to see whether it's a pass or a run. So let's say I roll an even, I roll a 6, and it would be a 65-yard bomb, right, to one of your players. And then, of course, this concept is true for returns. So an A defense, let's say this defense gets an interception, they're going to automatically return it back 35 yards every single time. So this defense, over the course of a game and over the course of a season, if they get interceptions, they're really going to get a lot of potential chances of returning them for touchdowns. If they happen to block a punt, if this defense blocks a punt or a field goal in the game, they would automatically scoop and score on that, right? So you say, my God, it's static. Well, you still have to roll an event, and that event still has to lead to an interception before they get this. So you'll see this is very much, this is a very focused, custom version of my d66 football. For me, it is the preferred way to play, and it is done in a particular way. Only time would tell. People would have to play this to realize, why I designed the game the way I designed it. But you'll see why this is not something I necessarily say you got to go grab this, because it's very much custom to me, how I want my football games to go. And of course, it's set. Timing is set on what I want to do. Nothing about Canadian ball, high school ball, college ball here. Onside kicks, extra possession rule, which is basically covering the comeback rule that's in this book. Right? So it kind of gives that extra possession rule, makes sense with the comeback rule. Also, the punt, field goal, block chances, and a peak return man can return any kick or punt for on a 66 for a touchdown. Or long gains, long gains, not touchdowns, right? So it's not an automatic touchdown. And then the career rules, which are in both books, and then, of course, the custom off-season for just this league, and really for use with this Time Sports Complete Football Time. So I know this is a long video, hour and 2 minutes, but I'll give you an idea of my thinking, what's going on. Again, and for those who want this, I'm not going to provide this free. You can purchase this for a few dollars on Lulu if you want it. My goal is this is literally for me, custom for me. I don't think anyone else out there probably cares to use my version, or to use this custom version, which is why, again, I make available free the one that would be most useful to people, because you can use it with any version of Football Time. You can use it standalone, and you can customize it for high school, indoor football, Canadian football, college football. So I think this, and again, most people want dynamic kicks, kick returns, punts, punt returns. So this is the one that, of course, I would say is the premier version for everyone. The new version, again, let's go to Lulu, see if I can pull it up so people can see the difference. Bookstore, let's go Jason. There it is, brand new. I just put this up yesterday. Time Sports Complete D66 Football. So again, it's referring to Time Sports Complete because I'm referring to this, the Time Sports Complete book. And again, this book, for a while, this had been available, and I've only since put it back up. So now you can get this book here with the new cover, Time Sports Complete, with 7 sports. And then this goes well with this football game. And last but not least, I know people aren't going to get to this far in the video. There is a basketball game, the Time Sports basketball game, which is in this free version, right, of the book. You can buy this paperback as well, but I make it free. For those who don't know, there is Time Sports, which is probably my favorite version of all the games. This basketball game, which is right here. I don't know why that's so zoomed in. Shit. There we go. All right, let's get on over here. So this version, of Time Sports games, also this paperback's for sale, but you can get it free here. Basketball. This version of Basketball Time, which is where we have our starters with our 6-man rated, and then the bench would just be 3 players that are zeros. Right? This is the basketball game I've been playing on the channel of late. And you can even do scoring, individual scoring. But anyway, that basketball. So here's what a team looks like: the Bayside Gulls, and their rated players with their 6-man, and then their bench are just named players with 0 ratings, right? So why am I showing this? Because I have been working and playtesting a full sim basketball game that uses these rosters. So I'm playtesting it. And as a matter of fact, I'll be picking up from the printer the charts so I can play this on the channel and show how it works as I playtest it and as I refine it. And if it comes out the way I want it, then of course I will make it available in support. It will not be a book. It'll be a free handout. It's only 3 pages. It's just charts to use. So if you can fast sim your games using this book, but you can use these same players to actually play out complete games of basketball. So I'm working on that right now to go with this particular set of rated players. So you need the 2 pluses, the zeros, etc. You need the 6th man. And so you roll for, you're bringing your ball up the court. You roll to see who's in possession, who's on defense. And then that matchup will tell you what shot clock you can, what shooting chart column you can use. And then the results from that could be rebounds, fouls, buckets, etc. And I'm working on that. So, and that will be just that'll be free. It's just a free add-on, full game package for this version. Okay. So again, don't confuse Time Sports, the Time Sports games, right? Book, all standalone, fast play games. You don't want to confuse those with the Time Sports Complete, which are 7 games, but they use universal creation charts, universal off-season charts, and universal matchup charts. Every game is on 1 page. So baseball's rules are right here, and the scoring charts and how you play are right here. That's it. So these are really self-contained travel. It's like a travel book. If you were going to travel around, all you need is a d66 and a notebook and a pencil. Make some teams, and it's perfect for travel, basically. Okay. So, what the heck was this video all about? Well, this video was all about the off-season of my BCFL using my brand new d66 personal copy. Matter of fact, I think, again, just to keep wasting time here, let me pull it up. It's just an 11-page book. I think it tells you this is a special designer's choice edition. So this is my personal version of D66 football for use with any Time Sports football, but in particularly the complete Time Sports Complete football. Okay. All right. I'm done talking now. Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful week. Bye-bye.